Today, IBM is proud to announce the IBM Payment Center Canada, a cognitive platform built from the ground up on IBM Cloud.
Keeping up with emerging trends in payments globally is very expensive. Diminishing margins, decrease in fees across the board, increase in volumes, they're going up every year. The core legacy payment systems are not things that provide strategic value to the banks going forward.
So if you look at the current payments ecosystem, it's got 4 key traditional players. However, what we are seeing is that there is an evolution of new players that are also becoming more and more part of the payments value chain. Now, these non-traditional players are not completely integrated into the current payments ecosystem fabric.
The vision we had for the IBM Payment Center Canada was to create a fabric where every member of the Canadian payment ecosystem could participate.
So that they can all come together, collaborate, and offer new payments product and services, and also leverage the efficiencies of scale to optimize the payments processing and costs.
This provides them an avenue to not only keep up, catch up, but leapfrog ahead and leave a lot of that keeping up and catching up. Put that on IBM, put that on our ecosystem.
So the platform will offer modern and integrated payments processing capabilities for all payment types. We can combine these innovative technologies and bundle them into value-added service offerings.
So one of the easiest ways to work with the IBM Payment Center is to start with what we call a design thinking session to really walk through one of our payment types, understanding exactly where the pain points are within their current existing systems, and start to work with them on how we can actually eliminate and improve their systems. And all of this is done through agile development.
Provides the sandbox environments for our clients to collaborate with fintechs, explore new technologies, and then leverage the new payments product and services to be able to offer them as proof of concepts and being able to easily scale that to production.
IBM Cloud is very important for this offering. It's the underpinnings. It enables us to innovate quickly, adjust quickly to marketplace conditions, leverage new technologies from other fintechs that want to come on board and offer value-added services, all done in a very secure environment. And a platform like this that we're so proud to announce today was built in Canada for Canada and for our Canadian financial institutions. We're extremely proud of it, and we look forward to working with our clients going forward.
Due diligence with customers, both initial and ongoing, in accordance with Know Your Customer regulations, requires substantial time and cost. Analysts end up spending more time on manual data gathering than decision making. By leveraging IBM Watson's cognitive capabilities, combined with Promontory's industry and regulatory expertise, IBM can help companies automate their existing due diligence operations with greater accuracy and efficiency, improving auditability and standardization, and cutting the time spent on the KYC process by 50%. IBM's Due Diligence with Watson streamlines due diligence reviews by aggregating external insights, extracting contextual information, using intelligent robotic process automation, leveraging entity resolution, and applying machine learning. Let's see how Kyle, a KYC investigator, uses IBM's due diligence to reduce overall effort. Kyle has been asked to conduct enhanced research on a high-risk entity. He uses Watson to screen, extract, and aggregate data from various external and internal sources, and to prepare a comprehensive analysis on the company. First, Kyle verifies the company information such as address, industry, and geographic location against certain predefined authoritative sources. If available, Kyle can see beneficial ownership and corporate hierarchy information from structured data sources. And he can check if the entity is on any watch lists, such as sanctions, PEP, or internal do not do business with lists. The solution will also automate the capture of negative news by dynamically searching news sources to aggregate, analyze, filter, and prioritize from millions of articles. Kyle can further refine the results by adjusting available filters such as date range and relevance weightage. Watson Content Analytics then looks for concepts related to adverse media or press, such as criminal proceedings, financial crime, sanctions, or narcotics, and even suggests the most relevant phrases to include as evidence in the dossier. This can save hours of time he previously had to spend making multiple searches and reading through various articles and sites. Watson can also help Kyle uncover hidden relationships and provide deeper insights of the potential risks using extended networks of relationships through link analysis. Finally, Kyle can add his own analyst notes and export the completed dossier, ensuring all information gathered is standardized and has an audit trail for regulatory compliance. IBM's due diligence with Watson leverages automation and cognitive analytics to bring greater accuracy, process standardization, and reduce time and effort to the Know Your Customer compliance process.
The financial services industry is facing disruption, new technologies, shifting customer expectations, regulatory changes, evolving business models. Most recently, fintech startups have entered the mix, filling the innovation gap with new solutions for payments, lending, insurance claims, and investment management, just to name a few. To stay competitive, more and more financial institutions are focusing on digital products delivered as application programming interfaces, or APIs, and partnering with fintechs to find new ways to engage customers. Designed for this very type of collaboration, IBM Cloud for Financial Services offers a fintech ecosystem on a secure cloud infrastructure housed within IBM Bluemix. It's an open development platform that lets you connect to a catalog of APIs curated for the financial services industry from leading fintechs and IBM, delivering analytics, data, content, and cognitive capabilities powered by Watson. You can collaborate and share ideas, code, and data online. Most importantly, you can build and deploy the next big thing quickly with new cloud applications built from APIs with the help of sample code and transformational financial services use cases that illustrate the art of the possible. With IBM Cloud for Financial Services, financial institutions can bring new, innovative, and regulatory compliant applications to market quickly to meet customer demands and stay ahead of the competition. Find out how IBM Cloud for Financial Services can help you build and deploy the next generation of applications powered by Watson for your financial institution. Explore for free by visiting IBM Bluemix Financial Services.
In response to ever-changing financial regulations and the resulting $12 billion in global fines, financial institutions have been forced to increase their spending on AML compliance programs by up to 50% every year. Leveraging IBM Watson's cognitive capabilities, combined with Promontory's industry and regulatory expertise, IBM can increase effectiveness and quality of your transaction monitoring activities, while increasing analyst productivity and actually reducing the cost of AML compliance. IBM Alerts Insight with Watson streamlines alert review by aggregating contextual information, applying machine learning, and leveraging entity resolution and network analytics. Let's see how Amy, an alert analyst, uses augmented intelligence from IBM's Alerts Insight with Watson to streamline her work. Amy is reviewing an alert from the bank's transaction monitoring system for customer Chad Appleseed. Watson provides Amy with non-intrusive additional analytics and insights that sit on top of the bank's existing systems. She's first presented with the most relevant findings for the alert and can quickly summarize Watson's evaluation from the insight score. Customer information is automatically aggregated from the bank's internal systems for easy access. Next, Amy sees the 3 most relevant insights for this alert. The types of insights will vary depending on what Watson finds, but they can include prior alerts and investigations, geographic analysis, and fine-tuned peer grouping and comparisons. Amy can use Watson to assist in drafting a narrative based on the reasons she checks off from the supporting evidence. Watson will learn from Amy's decisions to provide more accurate insights in the future. Now let's look at how Watson can help with true positives, with an alert related to unusual cash activity for corporate customer Pizza Dough Inc. Again, Amy is presented with Watson's score, customer information, and the top 3 relevant insights to investigate this alert further. In this case, Watson used a layered approach to entity resolution and link analysis to detect related parties, a high-risk network of customer counterparties, and difficult, complex structuring patterns specific to this customer's behavior. Amy can review all the evidence and immediately determine that in this case, the alert should be escalated for further review. Adding Watson to your team as a trusted advisor will help you leverage analytics and cognitive capabilities to optimize both your process and your analysts, reduce false positives, and accelerate investigations.
Hello, my name is Watson.
IBM Open Pages Regulatory Compliance Management. Firms face an onslaught of compliance challenges as regulations increase in number, scope, and complexity. With costs skyrocketing, it has never been more critical to implement an effective enterprise-wide regulatory compliance program. IBM is at the forefront of delivering solutions that can dramatically reduce costs and streamline regulatory compliance. With IBM Regulatory Compliance Analytics, firms can apply Watson cognitive technology to identify relevant obligations, create a centralized repository of highlighted and mapped obligations, and apply advanced analytics. With IBM Open Pages Regulatory Compliance Management, or RCM, firms can then map regulatory data to key risks, controls, and policies, evaluate the impact of obligations while assessing the effectiveness of their control framework, and manage regulatory tasks and activities. With Open Pages RCM, understanding how a regulation impacts your organization is no longer a fragmented exercise with multiple spreadsheets, databases, and documents. Instead, regulatory compliance is a streamlined process embedded in your firm's enterprise-wide GRC framework. Going beyond just a compliance exercise, users can see the impact of a regulation or changes to a regulation across the firm. Users can define a compliance program, identify and group similar regulatory requirements, and deploy them to relevant businesses and owners. Here, we can see all the regulatory requirements related to data privacy in the European Union and all the corresponding controls. Owners can then evaluate their control environment, identify control gaps and regulatory exposures, and initiate and manage compliance tasks and activities. As regulations change, the impact of those changes can also be evaluated and managed. Users can identify, assign, and track the impact of regulatory changes. IBM Open Pages Regulatory Compliance Management delivers a robust framework to identify, assess, and manage the impact of regulations across the organization, with the flexibility to adapt to the ever-changing regulatory compliance landscape. See how IBM Open Pages Regulatory Compliance Management can improve your regulatory compliance. Visit ibm.com/openpages.
Due diligence with customers, both initial and ongoing, in accordance with Know Your Customer regulations, requires substantial time and cost. Analysts end up spending more time on manual data gathering than decision-making. By leveraging IBM Watson's cognitive capabilities, combined with Promontory's industry and regulatory expertise, IBM can help companies automate their existing due diligence operations with greater accuracy and efficiency, improving auditability and standardization, and cutting the time spent on the KYC process by 50%. IBM's Due Diligence with Watson streamlines due diligence reviews by aggregating external insights, extracting contextual information, using intelligent robotic process automation, leveraging entity resolution, and applying machine learning. Let's see how Kyle, a KYC investigator, uses IBM's due diligence to reduce overall effort. Kyle has been asked to conduct enhanced research on a high-risk entity. He uses Watson to screen, extract, and aggregate data from various external and internal sources, and to prepare a comprehensive analysis on the company. First, Kyle verifies the company information such as address, industry, and geographic location against certain predefined authoritative sources. If available, Kyle can see beneficial ownership and corporate hierarchy information from structured data sources. And he can check if the entity is on any watch lists, such as sanctions, PEP, or internal do not do business with lists. The solution will also automate the capture of negative news by dynamically searching news sources to aggregate, analyze, filter, and prioritize from millions of articles. Kyle can further refine the results by adjusting available filters, such as date range and relevance weightage. Watson Content Analytics then looks for concepts related to adverse media or press, such as criminal proceedings, financial crime, sanctions, or narcotics, and even suggests the most relevant phrases to include as evidence in the dossier. This can save hours of time he previously had to spend making multiple searches and reading through various articles and sites. Watson can also help Kyle uncover hidden relationships and provide deeper insights of the potential risks using extended networks of relationships through link analysis. Finally, Kyle can add his own analyst notes and export the completed dossier, ensuring all information gathered is standardized and has an audit trail for regulatory compliance. IBM's due diligence with Watson leverages automation and cognitive analytics to bring greater accuracy, process standardization, and reduce time and effort to the Know Your Customer compliance process.
As a compliance manager, you need to keep up and be ready, not just for current regulations, but to quickly adjust your methods and technologies when the next ones arise. Especially when it comes to cybersecurity. With a perspective of over 100 years, we at IBM can say, yes, we are living in one of the most dynamic regulation environments ever. That's why we build our security solutions, not just to help detect and protect against cybercrime, but also to be able to quickly adjust and expand capabilities to emerging threats and the consequent demands. For example, to meet the demands of shorter transaction payment processing time, we added an additional layer of detection with a behavioral biometrics capability, which helps better determine if the user is a true customer or fraudster in real time. Cybersecurity compliance is not just about the upcoming audit. It's about choosing the right technological partner to help you to be prepared for the challenges to come. IBM Security.
The commercial banking industry is rapidly changing. New immediate payment schemes are challenging the traditional payment batch processing paradigms, where transactions that took hours to process now must be completed in seconds. Real-time transactions are making it more difficult to identify and react to fraud in a timely manner. Fintech firms are chipping away at the market share of banks, and the potential is becoming greater for blockchain networks to replace traditional service providers as the administrator of records and transactions. IBM Financial Transaction Manager is here to help. From assisting with these challenges to increasing revenue, IBM Financial Transaction Manager is a bank's path to business growth in the digital age. This integrated payments platform processes, monitors, tracks, and reports on financial payments and transactions in real time. It creates an integrated approach to adding new payment rails to existing transaction processing environments, making it possible to minimize operational risks and maintain legacy systems through payment convergence and the provision of real-time predictive insights. Our platform makes banks even smarter. With the addition of cognitive capabilities, you can quickly adapt real-time fraud detection to your unique customer base, resulting in a higher accuracy and fewer false positives. You gain invaluable insights into your customers' payment usage and trends. Once your systems have been unified and fraud minimized, you have the capacity to process more transactions faster with minimal risk. As the volume and variety of transactions increase, IBM Financial Transaction Manager will continue to provide a stable, resilient, and scalable application platform. A platform that allows financial institutions to continually introduce new real-time schemes and payment types, support existing and emerging transaction processing, enhance cognitive fraud detection and payment insights, and foster emerging blockchain initiatives. To learn more about IBM Financial Transaction Manager, visit our website and see how you can future-proof your business.
Financial institutions are spending more than $20 billion a year just to understand the onslaught of new and changing regulations. IBM is working to transform regulatory compliance by applying cognitive capabilities to help organizations streamline the process of managing constantly changing regulations. Watson Regulatory Compliance will directly address the massive strain on resources and dramatically reduce related costs. Meet Leroy, a lawyer for a global bank who finds himself buried in regulations. But rather than reading through thousands of pages line by line, these regulations are fed to Watson for initial analysis, and Leroy can simply ask Watson to show him the obligations on a specific topic or regulation. He can then just check Watson's work. an easier task that takes much less time. Leroy can then customize the obligations as needed, writing his own interpretation based on what it means to his firm. He can also see what jurisdictions, business lines, products, processes, and compliance themes the obligation is related to, and add his own tags that may be more meaningful to the people in his company. The next step is to indicate how material this obligation is to the different divisions in his organization. For example, while the UK and German units are doing a lot of trade initiation, Spain isn't as active, so Leroy identifies the obligation as low materiality. If needed, this step could be delegated to compliance officers within the individual divisions. Leroy notices that the next paragraph highlighted by Watson is actually guidance on how to address the obligation he just reviewed, and Watson allows him to easily label it as such. He can now see all the requirements and guidance for that particular obligation. Now the obligations, including the bank-specific context added by Leroy and his team, are now securely stored in a dedicated repository in the cloud. Enter Jeff, a compliance officer who's responsible for mapping controls to the newly identified obligations. Like anyone else, Jeff can ask Watson to search for and find all the obligations and controls relevant to his task. He quickly sees a list of all obligations for a particular regulation, and as he selects an obligation, Watson recommends potential existing controls that may be relevant. Jeff can also search for other existing controls, or he can create a new control objective. Once he's completed the mappings, the team has an enriched repository that identifies both the obligations and the controls that can be used to address those obligations. Next, we meet Catherine, the compliance officer for capital markets in Germany, who's been asked about the implications of moving more of the firm's trading activities to Frankfurt. She first asks Watson what controls are required for trading in Germany. Catherine is presented with a detailed list of all the relevant controls required and can filter through these further based on the type of control, or look at controls specific to certain products, processes, or compliance themes. She can also ask Watson to compare the controls required for a new regulation, such as MiFID II, to those required for the original regulation. Based on Jeff's work to link controls to objectives, Catherine gets an immediate visual comparison of the control requirements, and she can drill in to see the net new controls required for MiFID II. She could also use this capability to analyze different and overlapping control requirements across similar regulations or across different jurisdictions. With Watson, changes to regulatory obligations can be tracked more effectively. Duplicative controls can be rationalized, costs are reduced, and questions from management, auditors, and regulators can be answered more quickly and easily. Welcome to the next generation of cognitive compliance.
We're seeing as a trend in the criminal industry, so to speak, is that criminals have found out that if they can roll out their criminal schemes over multiple lines of business, they can much better hide their activity. Everywhere in the world, ACH and wire transactions from one bank account to the other, are moving from very slow to very, very fast, which is called instant payment. And as these transactions go near real time, they inevitably inherit some of the same fraud patterns that have plagued card processing ever since. So we are currently rolling out safer payments to protect instant payment schemes all over the world. Our clients, ranging from issuers to acquirers to entire nations, experience fraud losses much below market with only a fraction of the false declines. IBM Safer Payments is the first true cognitive payment fraud prevention solution in the industry. We have domesticated the power of artificial intelligence so that it enables our clients' existing fraud fighters to build world-class fraud prevention models just by themselves. This makes our clients independent from external vendors. They can roll out protection for all payment channels, and they can adapt their models to emerging fraud threats within minutes. The cognitive approach of IBM Safer Payments points out the characteristics of fraudulent behaviors to the fraud fighters and suggests them efficient countermeasures. At any point, our clients' fraud fighters can introduce their local knowledge and experience to create a true custom model.